Hello everyone, how are you all doing tonight on this last Thursday of January? Isn't that hard to believe how quickly this month has gone? And and I have to apologize. I quick wrote about the Facebook Live with a couple graphics that I made last night. We're going to talk about serums and moisturizers tonight, but I didn't send a reminder. Usually I'll post something, like a half hour before, an hour before, and I apologize for not doing that. So my kids often call me when they're on their way home from work, which I love, but that sometimes they are driving home later and they're 2 hours ahead. And so sometimes I get off my game, and tonight was one of those. So before we dive into tonight's topic, I wanted to show you a couple of things, the new arrivals. These are the Essential Pearl earrings, and they're kind of a flatter stone. We have a necklace that's very similar with the stones, and then these are the Mia. I'm going to show you these close up, and they're not nearly as big as maybe they look when you see them on the website. So when you have these on, they really are just a very simple, classic drop. Look at how they catch the light. These are so pretty. So I love these. Hi, Katie. So these are called the Mia, and I have on the Essential Pearl, and then the necklace is the Celestial Choker, which I wear all the time. It's always that first layering piece. And then the horseshoe charms, you can put different charms on that one. All right. Okay, so we are going to dig into talking about the topic, like I said, serums and moisturizers, because when Flawless came out in December, and by the way, thank you to all of you who pre-ordered, those of you that are ordered and now are using Flawless. Thank you. But if you were like me, and if you're watching live or in the replay, you may have thought, and just comment, I didn't think I needed another moisturizer, because that was me. Like, I have been blessed with pretty good skin. I still take care of it. I still am really good about my routine and all that. You guys know that. But I don't really have dry skin, and I'm super fortunate because so many of you do if you live in drier climates, or it's one of the top 10 signs of aging is dry skin. So it's very prevalent out there, and I've been trying to help you with other, solutions to help with that dry skin. So I didn't think I needed this other moisturizer. So if you're in that camp, go ahead and comment, because I get it. So as I said, they sent me a sample, and I started using it in December, I think it was. Yeah, probably middle to end of December. And at first I'm like, yeah, it feels really good. Again, it's all about the feel, the product itself, and then how it feels. But then something started to happen, and it was almost like after about 10 days, 2 weeks maybe, I'm thinking that the texture of my skin started to change, and it was softer and smoother, and obviously more hydrated. So again, I think I really did need a moisturizer. This wasn't enough. I love the daylight. This is your SPF, and you need that too, but it clearly was not enough, and I'm noticing that now in how my skin is feeling. And I think, and I mentioned this in a previous Facebook Live, is that when you get into a routine and you keep doing kind of the same thing over and over, it's all good, but every so often you need to change it up a little bit. And thus the vitamin C that we introduced last year, and now this new moisturizer. All right, so when you start talking about the difference between the two. So, first of all, let's talk about the category of those of you who might not need think you don't need another moisturizer, and I get that. Some of you may be watching this back on the replay, and maybe you are looking for a new routine. Maybe you're not an ever skincare user, and a lot of you in here are not.
And I think one of the biggest misconceptions about a regimen or when you're starting a new routine is I would hear this all the time when I first got started, like, I don't want all the steps, because you think you're going to have to do about 10 steps. And so I've kind of coined this new little phrase, don't sweat the steps when you first are thinking about this, okay? And yes, it is important to do the steps to have great results. Yes, it is important to do them in a fairly certain order, we want to stick with that. But it doesn't have to be super time consuming, and like you have to, again, I think people would just stress about doing everything right, especially from the beginning. I have sent a lot of graphics to help you with the order and with the steps. I'm happy to send them and post them all again. They're in the guides in the Facebook group too. And when you first get started, it's like, okay, you might have to think about it a little bit more. You might have more of a learning curve, but then it just starts coming so easily, and you don't have to necessarily think about every step anymore. And then, I just want to give you that freedom to play around with a little bit especially after you do like your last step at night. You've got power treatments, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Play around with it. And it's okay. It's okay to change it up. And I think that's actually good. All right. So one question that came up very frequently when Flawless was introduced is, okay, so why do I need Flawless if I have Youthful? And that was a really, really good question, because yeah, Youthful is that product that we all love. We refer to it as Botox or facelift in a bottle, and it's the product that usually people will say it just feels so luxurious, and you just want to, your skin drinks it in, and you just want to use probably more sometimes than you need to. So 1 or 2 pumps, morning and night. But this is a serum. It's not a moisturizer. And so that's what we're going to get into tonight, is the difference between the two. Serums are usually lighter, highly concentrated with active ingredients. So this has all the peptides, the patented LSR10, and they penetrate deep into your skin. They typically have smaller molecules to do that. So this has hyaluronic acid, this is Quench, and this is Youthful. Both serums. All right, and they are usually in the order cleansing, exfoliating, some people tone, all right, and then the serum, all right. They are designed to treat concerns, like it could be acne. We even have a serum for oily skin called Clarify, but usually it's the fine lines and wrinkles, the discoloration that you have in skin, brown spots, pigmentation, and then calming redness and sensitivity and exfoliation. This is the vitamin C serum, and that how it separates, and that is because it has that exfoliating ingredient in it too. And then it's really the serums are what repair the sun damage, and it's anti-aging. Okay, so just think of your serums like that. When you're 20 something, usually, when I did the interview with Jessica Heron the other night, she says, well, what was your routine? And I'm like, I haven't thought about that in so many years. I know that I used a lot of oil of Olay, but back in the day, I think it was even Noxzema. Like, somebody probably even know what that is. It was Noxzema. And then I had kind of like a astringent called Sea Breeze. I did that. And then I took my eye makeup off with a washcloth and Vaseline. And that was my routine. And I used oil of Olay for moisturizer. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, until I got into 30s and 40s and then started getting into some better, different skincare. Okay, so I digress. But what I'm saying is that 20-somethings, usually it's cleansing and moisturizing. Most don't even know about exfoliation, because that was me, don't know that important step. But when you get then into your 30s and 40s, that's when you really want to, that's the collagen breaks down, our skin loses its firmness and elasticity. I mean, you know what happens. So that's when the serums come in. And it's so interesting because, like I said, either I have not explained that well enough. I felt like when I did skincare school, I mean, I felt like I went into so much detail, but I think I have missed the boat, because I often heard people, especially when maybe they didn't purchase the whole regimen, but you know, we're buying things individually and say, oh, you know, I need some more of that stuff, that yellowy green moisturizer. And yeah, so I can see where it felt like a moisturizer. Another question that came up just within the last few months was, why do we do all this layering in a routine? Why is that? Well, you know, it really doesn't have to be a lot, but each product is doing different things. So again, your serums do one thing, and now we're going to get into the moisturizers. So cleansing's a given, exfoliation's a given. I say over and over why you need to exfoliate, because if you don't, you have to remove those dead skin cells so that the product can be absorbed fully into your skin. That's just the bottom line. And then, you know, the layering and choices. So let's just talk about that for a minute. So some of you use Quench because for drier skin, the hyaluronic acid. Some of you don't. That would be an option. I don't use this every day. I use Youthful every morning and every night. Okay, no, I never ever miss with that. And then the vitamin C we added on last year. I won't get into all the benefits of vitamin C on this video, but I know that you know them. Remember to always shake this. And this I use every morning. Don't skip. All right, so those are serums. And the thing that's really important too is I've had this question recently is, you know, sometimes what will happen is the product will actually pill on your skin, and it just is like, you know, white, but it's not your skin, it's actually the product that's pilling off. And you know, that happened a lot at first when I would send samples and people were first starting to use the product. And so a couple things on that. One, exfoliation. Okay. Two, use less product. It's so easy to want to use 3 pumps of this. 1 or 2 is all you need. And then the third thing is wait just a few minutes in between your steps. All right. Especially, you know, I might use the vitamin C pretty quickly after the Youthful, but then when I get to Flawless, I will wait. And especially when I put on the tinted moisturizer, I wait for, you know, some of that to soak in. All right. So again, we're talking about serums, highly concentrated active ingredients. They're made to penetrate deeper into your skin because of the lighter molecule, or the smaller molecules. So they are at the cellular level, and they're designed to treat specific concerns, and they're lighter and thinner. Okay, so now what about moisturizers, and why do I need a moisturizer? Hydrates the skin and protects from harmful outside elements that cause dryness and irritation. So, hi Paula. And they're thicker and creamier, so more like, you know, like a lotion. And these they have larger molecules, so they are not made to penetrate below the surface of the skin. So again, this is Flawless. This is just that creamier, thicker formula. And here's the biggest thing that you need to know about a moisturizer is that it creates a barrier that locks in moisture and the nutrients. So think of it as like the seal. That's why we use it last. So now you're using this, a little bit of this after your serums for extra moisture. And then you're going to the Youthful, the Daylight, which is your SPF, and in most cases, the tint, which gives that little bit of color. And, you know, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but you know, when I could actually say goodbye to my foundations, yeah, that was a great day. I think that I lost you there for a minute. I don't think I've ever had that happen. Okay, so sorry about that. Anyway, some of you, before we came out with Flawless, I encouraged you to use the night cream in the day when you needed just that little bit of extra. Sometimes this wasn't quite enough. So the Hydro Lift served that purpose. I didn't do that too much, but it really did help for, you know, just that extra hydration, especially with dry skin, drier climate, and all that. And now you can just stick with this at night and you have Flawless. All right, so Flawless is $70 before subscribe to save. It actually looks like, I think I'm repeating myself, but I think I talked about this before, is that it looks like it's a smaller jar, but it is deceiving because it is 1.7 ounces. So there's a lot more than you think there is in there. So I really encourage you to try it. I will post the graphic again about the differences between serums and moisturizers. The article that I posted in the comments, I'm going to post that again too, because it was really helpful. It was really good. As far as really just kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of the difference. I've tried to highlight most of it for you right here, but if you want to read more details, it is helpful. And then again, you know, don't forget the routine. Some of you, I know it's so easy to skip. Some of you, I know it's like you forget your neck and décolleté. Can't emphasize that enough. And I had an appointment today for a pedicure, and I was talking with the gal there about facials, and I said, I haven't had a facial, I think it's been close to 3 years. And I used to get one every time the seasons would change because I love getting a facial. It's just such a treat. And so we were talking about that, how with COVID, we kind of did two things. People, you know, I think they really stepped up their self-care routine. They spent a little bit more time on it. But also, I think there are plenty of us who we just get so busy and caught up in our routine and all the things to do that we forget that we really need that time. And that's why I always encourage everyone, do it a little bit earlier in the evening. Do it before you're, you know, so tired. And, you know, it will be such a pick-me-up. So like at this time of night, I usually go and wash my face and do the routine because it just makes such a difference. So I can't emphasize that enough. And this gal, the esthetician, was telling me today, she's like, you know, it just is sometimes the few minutes that women take for themselves, and it's so important. And the consistency, you know, it really is about the consistency. When I get asked about my skin, yes, I am religious about my routine. I am, but it's, you know, you got to use the products. I mean, that's whatever product you're using, you have to use it and you have to be consistent. Okay, enough skincare preaching, and I will close it here to next week. This is something that's been coming up a lot about Insiders Club. You've gotten the email. So next week I'm going to cover Insiders Club, and I'm going to cover Subscribe to Save, and I'm going to screen share. I'm going to do it on my computer so that you can really get the idea of how to group your subscriptions together, how when you group the products together in the little bundles, there's so many more of them now, how you can save money, plus you get the 10% of Subscribe to Save on top of that, on top of the savings, and you get the 10% back in credits. All right, so have a great night, everyone, and I will see you back here next week for a little bit more on skincare, and then we're going to switch gears the rest of the month in February, and we'll be more style and fashion oriented the rest of February. So have a great night. Thanks so much for tuning in, either live or on the replay. Let me know in the comments and let me know any questions.